Today's episode is brought to you by SoundCartel. If you're ever looking to sell your business, how do you make sure that you get top dollar? Well, much of it comes down to the systems and protections that you have in place before you leave, so that the money keeps rolling in well after you're gone. From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. When a buyer is looking under the bonnet of your business, they're looking at its long-term value. You can protect the long-term value in many ways, including by having recurring contracts with suppliers and clients, and by protecting and retaining your staff. That's according to Joanna Oakey, Managing Partner of Aspect Legal. She's written a book, Buy, Grow, Exit, the ultimate guide to using business as a wealth creation vehicle. She says that even if you're not intending to, it's important to always have in your mind the goal of selling your business. Joanna explains why to Chris Ashmore.
A lot of the steps that relate to getting a business sale ready also protect the value in the business as it grows. So it's such an important thought process to make sure you're not blowing yourself up along the way, blowing up the value that is this asset in your business that you've built over all of these years due to a legal landmine that you just haven't, understood is sitting out there ready to blow up the business.
Well, how then do we understand what the value of the business is?
In the book, I talk about the value in the business. I talk about value and risk. So value in a business is a function also of the risk or the level of risk in a business. But value in a business comes through understanding what a buyer would value and what creates the long-term value within your business. So every business is different in terms of what creates that value, and therefore what value needs to be protected in the business. But classic things for most business owners are the value in the staff that you have on board in the business, the value in the client base that you have in the business, the value in your supplier network or the referral partners within your business, or the value perhaps sometimes for some businesses in the location. And for many businesses, they forget the value that sits in the intellectual property. And all of these elements of value are something that, number one, you need to understand. Number two, you need to understand how you can protect and lock them in. And you need to understand, three, what that value looks like in the eyes of a buyer. Because when a buyer is coming into the future, they're looking for the value in the business, but they're also looking for the extent to which it's protected and transferable to them. It's not just the value that exists, it's how that value transfers to them if they were to buy the business.
Well, if we can look at the protections then, what should business owners protect in their business?
There's a whole heap of ways, and it comes back to that first step, which is identification of the value. So let's say we talked before about the value perhaps being in the staff within a business. And, staff is such a good thing for us to talk about right now because staff are such a huge, important commodity for almost every one of our clients' businesses at the moment, because attraction and retention is super difficult in this environment that we're in. So if we say, okay, part of the value in our business is through staff, well, we need to make sure then that we've locked in that value. So we lock in the value with traditional HR approaches of attraction, retention, what we're doing in a business from a commercial perspective. But from a legal perspective, we also think about, well, what are the things that can lock in our key staff? Sometimes that's giving them or selling them part of the equity of the business, bringing them on board as shareholders, giving them a phantom share scheme, which is a different way of giving equity in the business without making them shareholders. We might be building bonus and incentive plans based on them meeting certain KPIs, and then we might build this into long-term and short-term incentives that mean they have to stay with the business in order to get paid those ultimate incentives. So they're all ways that we can take legal measures to overlay them with commercial measures to create protection for a value in a business, and that's just staffing.
Can you give one other example?
Yeah, okay. So let's say clients. So you say, okay, well, how is it that we can protect in the value of our client base? Well, there's a whole heap of legal things that many business owners may never have thought about. So one of them is from a contractual perspective, locking in clients for a particular period of time, particularly if you're giving pricing or other guarantees that they're not able to get other places in the market. Or locking in clients not through contracts but through repetition of buy. So for that, we would have recurring revenue contracts where we've got subscription contracts or monthly retainers or whatever you call that sort of thing. And, businesses who can move from an ad hoc model to a recurring revenue model will always be valued more, but they also have stability in growth and stability in client base and that value concept.
Mazars is an international audit, tax and advisory firm committed to helping clients confidently build and grow their businesses. Experience a new perspective with Mazars. Visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.
A lot of clients would be thinking, the owner of this business who I've dealt with for 20 years is now leaving. I don't have any loyalty to the business, but I do to the business owner. So putting these protections in place will help keep that client with the business when it's being sold.
100%, you're absolutely right. And that's because we see so many businesses at exit. That is exactly the key issue that we see again and again and again. And what that means is, so when a buyer comes in and they say, okay, well, the value in the business that I'm buying mostly sits in the client database. I'm worried that when this seller leaves, the clients are going to leave as well because that personal relationship is gone. The problem is that they either, number one, don't want to pay much for the business, and or number two, they want the seller to stay in the business for a long period of time to hand over those client relationships. And I can promise you, when sellers get it in their head that they want to get out of the business, they just want to get out of that business. They don't want to be stuck in there for years and years and years, working for someone else, handing over this relationship, because they don't like the way someone else runs their business most of the time anyway. It's an unhealthy thing, I think, to have a seller and a buyer stay in a business for too long in many business instances. So the whole thing is, you need to understand this from the beginning. You need to set the business up in this way. And I promise you, if you find a way to set the business up so it's not reliant on you, so that a buyer doesn't think that the value is reliant on you, you'll get a higher multiple at sale. And what that just means in simple terms is you'll be able to sell your business for a heap more. Number two, you'll access a much broader range of potential buyers. For example, our corporate buyers, so buyers who are listed or part of large aggregators, generally speaking, will pay a lot more than other buyers for a business, but they'll only buy certain types of businesses. So if you can organise your business in a way that it's attractive to a wide variety of buyers, then number one, you can get a higher price, and number two, you can get the terms that you want, which is quite often, a quick exit. Some business owners don't want a quick exit, but you want to manufacture the situation where you can do the deal on your terms.
That was Joanna Oakey, Managing Partner of Aspect Legal. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.